Finally, Fazbear Frights 2, Fetch, is finally mine. Mine forever. Mine until I die. Mine until the next 4 books come out. Well, actually, funny story. I pre-ordered the books, as a matter of fact. And now you could ask me in real life, well, good job, you pre-ordered some books, whoop-de-doo, what does that have to do with anything? Well, that has to do with the fact that when I pre-ordered them, they were supposed to come out last Thursday. Screw it, I'm just going to leave it wobbling around like this, because it's acting annoying for me at the moment. Okay, it was supposed to be here Thursday. Last Thursday, as a matter of fact. And, yeah, fun fact, it didn't come out last Thursday. This thing is starting to tick me off. You know what? No, we don't need this. I'm just going to put this in a drawer. But this is what the part I'm talking about is the part of the boom mic that covers your mouth and your mic. This one got broken somehow. I don't know how. Like, genuinely, I don't know how. Just got broken one day. And now I should just sound normal, kind of. But yeah, now I have the book Fetch, but to continue my story. So I got these on Thursday. I was thinking pre-order them, and then it said be here by Thursday. Fun fact, they did not come here on Thursday. Today is Monday. The time is 8:53. So these are not pre-recorded as usual. Today's Labor Day, so, or whatever today is. So today I got my day off. Tomorrow is the day of school. Tomorrow you will get this video. So when you see me in the morning, to the people that watch this, if you guys see me after this video is posted and I look like total garbage, that's why. I stayed up an hour. You know what? I know for a fact I'm going to be staying up an hour, even if I'm just reading the book itself. So we should just start. The book is called Fetch. But I'm going to continue the story because that's a jerk roof. I had to go to a place called Barnes & Noble. It's a nice place. Almost got a pillow of an anime girl. She's cute. She's a little fox thing. It's some weird anime that they talk by singing rock and roll. I don't know. You know what? I don't usually put this level of editing into my videos. This one, nope. Just cut this one out, throw it over there. I'm gonna make a new section on here called reading. Past Stonesy, can you put a picture, just right now, thank you, of the fox girl I'm talking about. Once you see her, you'll understand. Just keep it there until I'm done talking, okay? Thank you. I'm gonna be done talking in a second. But this girl, I saw a pillow of her, and if you flipped it, it turned it to her angry side. So you know that's cool. It's just a cool little pillow. It was $20 though. I didn't get it. Also, I saw Beastars, another anime me and my friend like to watch. He got me into anime. It's cool. It's MOGBB, but IRL. He got me into anime as of recent, and that's one of the animes we watch together. Beastars and the one with this little fox girl in it. She might look nice and cute, but she's like a demon or something like that. Not a demon like in the actual thing, but she screams a lot. It's really good. It's a good show. You can get rid of it now. Thank you. Aside from that, let's get to the book. You all know the rules by now, or if you don't, I'll say them now. Well, actually, you'll see them on screen. One chapter is 20 pages. Every 10 pages, we take a drink break and talk about what's our theories. And yes, they're game theories. Actually, book theories, as a matter of fact. Let's smell that fresh book. Of course, the first one is called Fetch. Okay. Yeah, go. The surf, the wind, and the rain were at war, battering against the old building so forcefully Greg wondered if its crumbling walls would stand against them. When the brawling thunder blasted the boarded-up window again, Greg jumped back, stumbling into Cyril tromping on his foot. Ow! Cyril shoved Greg, jabbing his flashlight spastically at the wall in front of them. The light scanned over drooping sections of blue striped wallpaper and that looked like two red letters, FR, streaks of something dark sprayed over the stripes. Was that pizza sauce or blood? Something else. Hottie laughed at his two bumbling friends. It's just the wind, guys. Suck it up. Another gust hit the building, and the walls shuddered, drowning out Hades' voice. The rain pounding on the metal roof ratcheted up, but inside the building, close by, something metallic clinked loud enough to be heard over the wind and rain. What was that? Cyril whirled and swung his flashlight wild at barely 13. Cyril was a year younger than Grade and Haiti, though still in her fledgling freshman class. He was short and skinny with boyish features and limp brown hair. He had the misfortune of sounding like a cartoon mouse. It didn't win him many friends. That's Cyril. Let's go check out the old pizzeria. I don't know how a mouse sounds like. Cyril mimicked Greg's suggestion. Yeah, this was a great idea. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this was a great idea. It was crisp autumn night, and the seaside town was dark, robbed by power and the latest storm's assault. Greg and his friends had planned a Saturday night of gaming and junk food, but as soon as the power went out, Edie's parents tried to recruit them for a board game. The family's tradition during power outages. Edie had convinced his parents to let the boys bike the short distance to Greg's house, where they could play one of Greg's new tabletop strategy games instead. But once there, Greg enlisted them to go to the pizzeria. For days he'd known he had to do this. It was like he was drawn to this place. Or maybe he had it all wrong. This could be a wild goose chase. Greg shined his light around the corridor. They just explored the kitchen of the abandoned restaurant and had shocked to find it was still stocked with pots and pans and dishes. Who closed the pizzeria and left all the stuff behind? After they left the kitchen, they found themselves next to a large stage. At one end, one end had once been a main eating area and derelict pizzeria. Heavy black curtain of the back of the stage was drawn close. None of the boys had volunteered to see what was behind the curtain. None of them had mentioned seeing the curtain move when they passed the stage. Hattie laughed again. Better than hanging out with the fam. Hey, what's that? What's that? Cyril, what's that? Cyril aimed his light in the direction of Hattie's gaze. Greg turned the flashlight that way too, toward the far corner of the large table-filled room they stood in. The glowing beam landed in the row of hulking shapes lined up along the murky glass counter. Bright eyes reflected back at them across the room. Cool, Haiti said, kicking aside a broken table leg as he made his way toward the counter. Maybe, Greg thought, frowning at the eyes. One pair of them seemed to be staring right at him. Despite the confidence he felt before, he was beginning to wonder what exactly he was doing here. He approached the counter first. This is dope! He reached for something and sneezed when dust billowed up from the sand. Therefore, they left his house. Greg had suggested... Wait, what? Sand. Oh, from the stand. Before they left his house, Greg had suggested they all take handkerchiefs to cover their noses and mouths, but he couldn't find any. He expected to find the empty restaurant filled with dust, mold, mildew, and who knew what else. Surprisingly, given the wet coastal climate, the only decay they'd seen was dust. But there was a lot of dust. Greg stepped around the overturned metal chair and past Cyrus, who had his back pressed to a dirty paint-peeled pillar in the middle of the dining area. Other than one broken table and two upside-down chairs, the area looked like it just needed heavy cleaning before it could be fit for diners, which, again, was strange. Greg had known something would be here. He didn't expect the building to still hold dishes and furniture, and what else? Greg looked at what Haiti held, and he sucked in his breath. Was this what he'd come for? Was this why the old place was calling him? What is it? What is it? Cyril asked, not moving any closer to the counter. I think it's a cat. Haiti turned the lumpy, roughly furred object he held. Maybe a ferret? He poked whatever it was. Might be an animatronic. He put it down and shined its light over the shapes of the long counter. Yeah, awesome. They're prizes, see? Haiti scanned his light over the stiff figures. Explained the cave-like cubby holes that lined the broad hallway Greg and his friends had come through to get to the dining area. The little enclosures must have been for arcade cabinets and game booths. I can't believe they're still all here. Yeah, Greg frowned, studying what looked like a stiffened sea otter and tangled octopus. Why were they still here? The old pizzeria had stood, boarded up and bombarded by coastal storms and sea air for who knew how long. The structure was clearly abandoned, and it looked not just old but ancient, on the verge of collapse. The graying, weathered signing was so faded you could barely tell what it was. The name of the pizzeria was God, okay, long gone. So why did it look so old in the inside? Well, not good exactly. But from where Greg stood, the building looked sturdy enough to stand another 100 years. Greg and his parents had moved to a small town when he was in first grade, so he knew the place well. But he really didn't understand it. For example, he'd always thought it was strange that a boarded-up pizzeria had been left untouched, in what was supposed to be a vacation spot. But then again, this wasn't exactly a swanky resort town. Greg's mom called it hodgepodge. Big, fancy homes could be found across the street from tiny, ugly beach cabins draped in dirty fishing floats and surrounded by piles of old lumber or crumbled lawn furniture. The house across from Greg's had a huge, boxy sedan, like the 70s, up on the blocks in the front yard. Still, Greg wondered why the pizza place couldn't be turned into something useful instead of being left garbled old ghost building that practically screamed, "Break in!" to local kids. I have that thing where it's like, I want to sneeze, but I can't. But weirdly, it didn't look like anyone had broken in before Greg and Cyril and Haiti did. Greg had figured they'd find footprints, trash, graffiti, evidence that other explorers had been here before them, but nothing. It's like the place was abandoned, dipped in formaldehyde, and preserved until Greg suddenly felt like he was supposed to come here. I bet these are still here because they were really good prizes, Haiti said. No one ever wins the good prizes, Cyril piped up. He had the edge a little closer to the counter. He was still several feet away. There aren't any clowns, Cyril, whatever. Greg had to assure Cyril there weren't any clowns in the abandoned restaurant in order to convince Cyril to come along. Not that Greg knew one way or another. What's that one? Cyril pointed at the large-headed figure with the big nose, sat under that read, "Top prize." Greg picked it up before Haiti could. It was heavy and it felt padded and coarse. It was oddly drawn to the animal. Whatever it was, he studied and pointed ears, sloped forehead, long snout, piercing yellow eyes. Well, I just looked at the cover and you just looked at the video, so yep, that's him. Greg, then he noticed the blue collar around the animal's neck. Something gleamed, dangled the collar. A dog's tag? He lifted. Fetch. Haiti read over Greg's shoulder. It's a dog named Fetch. Greg loved dogs, for the most part, but he hoped to never see one like this in real life. He held the dog up and turned it this way and that. Even the vicious old dog that lived next door to Greg wasn't this ugly. Fetch looked like someone who had crossed the big bad wolf and shark from Jaws. This surely was a he. Head was a triangle, pointy on the top, and a mouth far too wide to comfort the bottom. Fetch's fur looked grayish-brown, and the splotchy glow of their flashlights was missing in places, revealing tarnished metal beneath. A couple of wires stuck out of the big ears, and partially exposed cavity in Fetch's belly revealed what looked like a primitive circuit board. Look at this! Serial was surprising. Look at this! Serial was surprisingly now interested in the counter. He picked up a small booklet inside the plastic sheath. I think it's the instructions. Let me see. Let me see. Greg plucked the booklet from Chris Serial's grasp. Hey! Serial squeaked. Greg ignored his protest. This could be it. Putting Fetch back on the counter, he pulled the booklet from the plastic and scanned through the instructions. Haiti read over his shoulder. Serial stuck his head between Greg's chest and the booklet, forcing Greg to hold the booklet farther out so they would all read together. Fetch, the instructions explained, was an animatronic dog designed to sync up with your phone and retrieve information and other things for you. That's lit, Haiti said. I think it still works. How long has this place been empty? Greg asked. Fetch looks like he's older than my dad, but smartphones haven't been around that long. Haiti shrugged. Greg finally did too, and he began poking around Fetch to find the control panel. Haiti and Serial lost interest. I also have a bloody nose for some reason. Whatever. It isn't going to work. It's older tech, and it won't compatible with our phones, Serial said, cringing when he surged against the building again. Greg felt a chill slither down his spine. Whether it was related to the wind's eerie onslaught or something else, he wasn't sure. Greg returned his attention to Fetch. He wanted to see if he got the dog thing to do whatever he was supposed to do. He had a hunch this might be what he'd felt in the field, what had called him here. Serious pessimism about Fetch didn't surprise Greg. He wouldn't know an opportunity if it thumped him between the eyes. Haiti, on the other hand, was relentlessly positive. He had such a sunny disposition he pulled off that Greg thought was nothing less than a magic trick. Haiti was accepted by the popular crowd despite having spent most of his time with Greg and Serial, who of the nerdiest kids in the school. Maybe it had something to do with his looks. Greg had heard girls talking about Haiti. He was either fine, hot, cute, sharp, or just depending on the girl who was talking. Haiti wandered away from the counter, and Serial plopped down on a chair near the table. I think we should go, he said. Nah. Haiti brushed him off. There's still a lot to check out. Greg ignored them both. He picked up Fetch and found a panel under Fetch's belly, juggling the instructions, Fetch and his flashlight. Greg bit his lip and concentrated on hitting the right buttons in the right sequence. For an instant, the wind and rain let up, leaving the building in a silence that felt almost menacing. Greg glanced up at the ceiling. He noticed a large stain above his head, a water stain. Distracted from the task for a second, he shined the light hole in the ceilings. No other stains. In fact, why wasn't the hole inside of the restaurant dripping? He thought he'd seen a part of metal roof missing when he first looked at the building. Why wasn't it linking? Shrugging, he turned his attention to Fetch. At this point, he just randomly pushing buttons. None of the sequences laid out the instructions were doing anything. As abruptly as it stopped, the wind and rain started up again, and a surresino of mechanical drumming, pounding, and wailing. That's when Fetch moved. Suddenly, with a whirring sound, Fetch's head raised. Then its gaping, tooth-filled mouth opened, and he growled. "What the hell?" Greg dropped Fetch on the counter and leaped back simultaneously. Cyril erupted from his chair. What? I mean, what? Haiti asked, returning to his friends. Green pointed at Fetch, whose head and mouth were in clearly different positions than they found him. Sick, Haiti said. They all stared at Fetch, edging backward in unspoken agreement that a low distance was a good idea in case Fetch did something else. They waited. So did Fetch. Haiti got bored first. He shined the flashlight in the direction of the stage. What do you think is behind that curtain? I think I don't want to know, Serial said. Behind them, a door slammed inside the building. As a unit, the boys ran through the dining room and down the hall to the storage room they'd broken into. Even through the smallest, Serial reached the room first. He was out through the narrow gap they managed to create in a jammed surface door, opening before the other boys could squeeze through. Outside, pelted by rain streaking sideways, they grabbed their bikes. Greg figured the wind was gusting over 50 miles per hour now. No way they could bike home. He looked at Haiti, whose curly black hair had matted against his head. Haiti burst out laughing, and Greg joined in. Serial hesitated, and then started laughing too. Come on! Haiti shouted over the screaming wind without looking back at the restaurant. They put their heads down and pushed their bikes against the storm. As he shrugged beside his friends, Greg thought about why he'd wanted them to come to the abandoned restaurant. They'd left so much unexplored, like the area behind the curtain. There'd been 3 closed doors of the hallway, too. What was behind them? Greg was afraid he might not even gotten what he was there before. What he'd done what he was meant to do. Greg was close to home when a woman called out, "Wet enough for you?" He stopped, wiped his eyes, and squinted through the rain. "Hey, Mrs. Peters," he called, and saw his elderly neighbor standing in her covered front porch. She threw up her skinny arms. "I love these storms," she sang out. "I love these storms," she sang out. He laughed and waved at her. "Enjoy," he shouted. She waved too and plodded on. When he neared his parents' tall, modern oceanfront house, Greg was surprised to see a light in the living room window. The town was still dark. I'm gonna stop it right there. That's not page 20, but that is page 12. I got too carried away. Okay. Now, there's nothing here to make theories about. Okay? There's 0 things here to make a theory about, as a matter of fact. Fetch being there. Actually, there's a lot of things to have a theory about. Just nothing I can back it up with. What type of animatronic is Fetch? Easy. Dog. What is its prime directive? I don't know. It looks a lot like killing. Why would it exist for only killing? I don't know, man. That sounds like a personal problem. Who opened the door? Don't know. Probably Fetch. Final question. If this is supposed to be the same stage, the kitchen, they dash towards the front part to see a stage. Is this FNAF 1, or is this a different pizzeria? I've been to 3 Chuck E. Cheese's in my life. I've been to 1 Chuck E. Cheese many of times. I've been to 3 different locations. They all have different layouts, but kind of the same in their own way. So I'm thinking, is this FNAF 1, but with a different layout? In which case, where's the night guards area? I'm guessing when they ran down the hallway to the storage, I was thinking, did they turn the night guard area to a storage unit? Or is the storage unit now the night guard area? So, I'm just thinking that. Oh, yeah, here's a new one. They reached over the counter and found a cat-like animatronic figure. So, who is this cat animatronic? We know Fetch. He's a dog. He's a good boy. Maybe. I don't know. Those teeth and those yellow eyes say different. He's apparently small and fluffy. But who is the cat animatronic? It could just be like a background character, like, have any of you seen Annie? Donald Trump was one of the background characters, technically, that helped Annie through the hotel. It's like one of those. A big character that doesn't have that big of a role, but could have in the future. So something like that. So, I'm just thinking to myself, what a wonderful world. And, if that is not Annie, if that's, whatever or not, if that's going to be a character in the future. Okay. Or maybe it was the cat animatronic that got it, whatever. One more drink. Next time you have Kool-Aid, mix grape and cherry. Great things. Love Barnes & Noble, by the way. Oh, open until 8, which is perfect because I don't go to bed till 10. And they're like only like an hour away from me. Hold on, guys. I'm actually having a phone call right now. This is not going to be edited out because I hate video editing. Hello, Stonesy boy. What is it, Benjamin? I cannot play Fall Guys at the moment. You are actually in the middle of a recording. You want to say something? Okay, yeah, I got you there. Smooches and all that. I'm not gay, I just like screwing with like that. Anyways. Where were we? Oh, yes. When he'd parted with Serial and Haiti, the only lights he could be seen with their flashlights bobbing along like disembodied spirits, and the flickers of what looked like candles inside the couple's house. The light in his window, however, was bright and steady. When he pulled his bike in next of the stilts that raised the house full of story off the ground, he discovered why he'd seen the light. At first drowned out by the thunderous sounds of the wind and the rain. He hadn't heard the motor until he practically walked into it. A shiny new generator that sat under the house chugged away, cord extending past the two-car garage and up the stairs to the front door. We'll keep that in mind. Greg peeled off his dripping rain jacket as he climbed the steps. But before he reached the front door, it opened. "There you are, boyo!" Greg's uncle Darren grinned down at him, his mountainous 6'5", broad-shouldered frame filling the doorway. "It was about to mount a search posse. You didn't answer your phone." Greg searched the entry and exchanged his and his uncle's signature greeting, a half-hug double fist bump. Sorry, Dare, I didn't hear it." Pulled his phone out of his pocket. Oh, sorry, Dare, I didn't hear it. That was weird. He pulled the phone out of his pocket and tapped it. Dare had texted and called him multiple times. "Wow, I swear I didn't hear it. Who could hear anything in this wind? Get inside." "Where'd the generator come from?" Greg asked. He really didn't care. He was just trying to distract himself from thinking about why he didn't hear his phone in the restaurant. Hadn't been that loud inside. It could have been because "I got it in Olympia. Your dad's been saying for years you don't need it. But that's bull honky. I told him he's going to wish he had one. They've been saying the storms will be much worse this winter. And hadn't you know it, they came early this year. How about that rain we've got last week for Halloween?" Dare shook his head. "Of course your dad wouldn't listen." Greg didn't remember that argument, but then Dare and Greg's dad had so many arguments, how could he remember any specific one? Uncle Darren was Greg's mother's brother, her only sibling. they were close. Greg and Dare were even closer, but Greg's dad hated Dare for the reasons Greg loved him. Because Dare is flamboyant and fun. Darren needs to grow up. Darren needs to grow up, Greg's dad would say over and over. Long hair dyed purple and worn with a braid and a wardrobe of bright-colored suits and ties paired with painfully patterned shirts. Dare was his own distinct look. That Dare was so wealthy, successful, inventor of car parts, and had the most amazing luck in investments and money in general was a nail in his coffin. As far as Greg's dad was concerned, people like him don't deserve success. He often groused. Greg's dad was a contractor and he worked more than he wanted to afford their big house and the expensive cars he liked. Let me just real quickly go to page 20. Put the bookmark in there. We're not done yet. I'm just putting it there. Future tense. The fact that Dare lived on 10-acre estate and made tons of money from tinkering in his workshop was too much. Greg loved Dare the way he wished he could love his dad. Dare had nothing but accept Greg from the day his squished little head entered the world. Despite the fact that Greg was never a cute baby, he hadn't turned into a cute kid. His face was too long, his eyes were too close together, and his nose was too small. Why does this sound familiar? Not for me, but it sounds like the girl to be beautiful. He compensated for all of that long, wavy blonde hair. A great smile, or so a girl in his former 8th grade class had said, and enough height and muscle to think he might not be a total lost cause after high school. Never drawn to typical boy things like cars and sports, no matter how hard his dad tried to force them down his throat. Greg found an ally in Dare, who didn't question Greg's likes or dislikes. He accepted Greg as he was. "Where's Mom?" Greg asked Dare. "Book club." Greg didn't ask about his dad. 1, he didn't care. 2, he knew his dad would be playing poker with his buddies. He spent his Saturday evenings, even he had to play cards and by candlelight. Where were your boys in this weather?" Dare asked. Can I keep that a secret?" Dare tilted his huge head and stroked his graying goatee. "Sure, I trust you." "Thanks." "So you want to play backgammon?" Dare asked. "Can I take a rain check?" "Good one." Dare gestured to Greg's still dripping coat. Greg shook his head. "Unintentional. Just wanted to do some reading." "Sure, no problem. Just came by to set up the generator for you guys. When you weren't here and I couldn't get a hold of you, I figured I'd stay until worry fried my circuits and made me phone the police." Greg grinned. "I'm glad I made it home before you called the cops." "Me too." Dare started to reach for his magenta raincoat, then hesitated and snapped his fingers. "Oh, by the way, I heard you got your first babysitting gig. Glad you finally brought your old man around." "It was really thanks to you. Once you threw your 2 cents in, it was 3 against 1. I'm sitting for the McLanley's kid next week, Jake, I think. They need someone to watch him on Saturdays." "No way! His mom and I go way back. Maybe I'll stop by sometime and bring you guys a treat. Or bring my new puppy. I've been really thinking seriously about getting a dog." Uh-oh. "Really? Cool. Yeah, a friend has a Shih Tzu that's going to have puppies soon. I've been without a dog long enough, and I miss having a dog to cuddle with." Aw, poor dude. I would hate to have a dog not to cuddle with. Actually, I prefer cats. We'll have that on war in the comments, why don't we? Frick it. Who cares about school? Let's have that comment war. Come on, guys. Let's do this. Greg laughed. "Just to be sure it's a nice Shih Tzu. I think the beast next door is part Shih Tzu." That snaggletooth mongrel? Nah, no dog of mine would be like that, remember? Dare said, holding up his right index finger, on which he wore his favorite onyx and gold ring. I have the magic finger of luck, Dare and Greg said in unison. They laughed. The magic finger of luck had been an ongoing joke since Greg was about 4 years old. One day, Greg was crying because he wanted a stuffed octopus in a claw machine. He hadn't been able to get it when his mother put money into the machine, and then he tried the claw. Dare tapped the glass of the claw machine in his right index finger and said in a deep voice, I have the magic finger of luck. I will get you the octopus. And he said, done it on the first try. After that, Dare called on the magic finger of luck to get things go his way. It's pretty much always worked. Greg stopped laughing, thinking again about the neighbor's dog. Yeah, I still can't believe that thing bit me. The neighbors next door had moved in a year before, and 2 days later their dog, a small but evil mutt with very sharp teeth and one missing eye, charged at Greg and bit him on the ankle. He had to have 10 stitches. What type of dog is like that? I've had dogs bite me in the ankle. I've had a pit bull bite me in the ankle. I've never had to have stitches. Just a band-aid to call it a day. Probably had to get stitches, but when you have a master nurse like my father, goes my own way. Okay, I'll go and leave you to your reading, Dare said. Before I go, though, let's make sure everything's working right. 15 minutes later, Greg was lounging in his double bed, reading by the nice bright light of his red pendant reading lamp. Dare had gotten the family a power transfer system for the generator that had hooked up the breaker box, which the flip of the new switches, power was restored to the whole house. Got this especially for your gaming needs, Dare said before giving Greg another half-hugged double fist bump and leaving. Even though he really wanted to get to his reading, Greg took the time to do his nightly yoga routine before sliding under his oversized Afghan Dare had knitted for him. Dare also taught him yoga. Greg loved it. It not only calmed him down before bed, it helped him stay in shape. Not that good shape was not good enough. Greg stood in the front of the mirror and examined his narrow shoulders and a slight chest. Even though he had his muscle in his arms and legs, his torso was still too thin. His face. Greg's phone buzzed. He picked it up and looked at the text from Haiti. You recovered? Greg snorted, as if he was scared enough to need recovering. From what? He texted back, playing dumb. Can't fool me. Okay, Greg responded. Yeah, I'm good. Just need more courage, I guess. You need Brian Reinhardt's brain. Reinhardt, why not? He's not afraid of anything. Greg laughed. Good point. Brian Reinhardt was a football team's star running back. He texted, I could use his legs too, fast for running away. Lol. How about Steve Thornton's shoulders? Power enough to thump scary things. Greg laughed again. But Haiti was onto something. If Greg had going to do, he had to set out to do. Why didn't he pick and choose what he wanted? Okay, he typed in. But I want Don Waring's chest, too, then. Greg grinned at the idea of constructing a body from football players' parts. He needed a good face, though, especially if he was going to get a girl pay attention to him. Get John Cena's. He's not a football player, but he's still good looking. I want Ron Fisher's eyes, he texted. RGR? How about Neil Manning's nose? Greg smiled and typed OBV, obviously mouth. Greg thought about it. He responded, Zach's BFG. Big f***ing girlfriend? I don't know. You can picture Haiti's big freaking grin. Oh! Hair? I like my own, Greg replied. Ego much? Greg laughed. GG. Greg typed in BFN. Greg flopped onto his bed. He picked up the journal into the book on the 0 point field he needed to check. He glanced over his plants before he started reading. They were the key to this, weren't they? They made the exchange he just had with Haiti more than the silly game. Well, there was at least the catalyst learning about Cleve Baxter's experiments and what had launched him down the road he was on. But the plants wouldn't help him tonight. He needed a review, and what he knew about random event generators, or REGs. He flipped through his books. Yes, there it was. Machines unconscious. Cause and effect. He put the book down and skimmed his last journal entry. He didn't misinterpret what he'd gotten. Had he? No, he didn't think so. He was either on the right track or he wasn't. If he wasn't, he didn't think he wanted to know what the track he was on. The way he'd been drawn to the place couldn't have been a coincidence. The storm hung around another day, but it fizzled out late Sunday night. Power came back on. School was in session as usual Monday morning. Greg endured the first half of the day and was relieved when 1:10 p.m. finally rolled around and he got to go to Advanced Scientific Theory. Advanced Scientific Theory was an AP class reserved for freshmen who had won science fair prizes in the previous 2 years. The class had only 12 students. It was taught by a visiting teacher, Mr. Jacoby. Also taught Gray's Harbor Community College. As always, Greg was the first one in the classroom. He sat in the front. Only Haiti would sit near him. Mr. Jacoby was practically bouncing at the front of the yellow-walled classroom when the bell rang. Tall and lanky, he was so full of energy, he reminded of Greg of a long-coiled spring. Mr. Jacoby was an enthusiastic teacher who was undaunted by disinterested students. Greg loved science, all science, not just tech, and his passion and learned him the title of teacher's pet. Mr. Jacoby always lectured while darting around the front of the classroom like he has bugs in his pants. Sometimes he scribbled on the whiteboard. More often, he just rambled about. It was interesting stuff. This small room filled with tall wooden lab tables and counter-height chairs was one of Greg's favorite places in the school. He loved the periodic table and the constellation posters on the walls. He loved the smell of the fertilizer that fed the hybrid plants growing in the back of the room. It made him think of science and learning. Running a hand through unruly red hair, Mr. Jacoby began, "In quantum physics, there is something known as the zero-point field. This field is scientific proof that there is no such thing as a vacuum. No such thing as nothingness. If you're all empty space of matter and energy, you will still find in subatomic terms a bunch of activity. This constant activity, this field of energy that is always in motion, subaquatic, subomatic matter constantly interacting with other subomatic matter." That was a mouthful to say, and I'm never going to be a science teacher. I can finally have this bookmark, not being scared and sad and alone, but finally in a book. Don't worry, little buddy. You'll be safe. So that does it for this video. It's going to be a long time to record, long time to edit, and my friend that called me, the perfect timing, by the way, by him, because that's when I was having my break, see, I just said it. So that was perfect timing by him, but I do have my bookmark in a book, and not have it be scared. Tomorrow, after all of school is done, because only people that watch this type of videos, this is during school, I will be recording this. I hope my audio sounds fine. It's without the thing that covers me and the mic, so it might sound a little choppy, a little bad, but sadly the thing is broken until I repair it. So, aside from that, hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. One of yous out there. Oh, and I do have a September meme of the month, but That's more of a side post, so I'm going to probably post it tomorrow as well, just at 10:30. So, while you're watching this video and you made it to the end, which is bravo on you, you made it through a 45-minute video about someone reading, there will be a second video out called Meme of the Month September Meme of the Month. I had another plan for it, but I just thought of it while doing some recording on Salty and Ice, which is where you can see my face in a video. It's actually real big. It's because it's I don't like my face on Stonesy Boy, but I'll show my face on Salty and Ice because it gives me courage with another person. And one of yous out there, forgot your name. Sorry, I only remember Shadow Fox. Sorry about that. Hey, but you're friends with Shadow Fox. That's good. One of yous commented on last week's Monday video saying, "Get some rest, you're tired." Fun fact, I'm still tired. That video was recorded late night on a Saturday, just like how this video is recorded late night on a Monday. I will have my personal copy of the book very, very soon. It is my copy. It is not library bought, but I've pre-ordered all 4 of the books, including the first one and now the second one, I guess. So I will have 2 copies of the first and the second. If you want it, get in personal contact with me. Give me a home address. I'm gonna drive by. You just drop it off, drive away. You know what I mean? So if you want the books, give me the address, drive by, leave. Easy and clean. Okay? Okay. Aside from that nonsense and people worrying about my mental health, which is never good. But not never good that you care about me, never good. I mean, my mental health's just never good. Seriously, I need sleep. I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. I put myself through these treasures for you, and don't think it's too much of a burden. I love reading. I love doing these videos for you guys. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Be polite, be efficient. Hope you enjoyed the reading of the books. And, don't die to coronavirus. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.